Let's go! This was a fun series to watch. Not a very clean one, but you know, it was fun. Hi, my name's Sebastian. This is Vision Denial on the road to MSI, where I watch every playoff series before the tournament starts. Yes, even that one. We have for you today Invictus Gaming versus Rare Adam in a 3-2 where Rare Adam wins. Now, Andrew, if you end up watching up to this point, I'm sorry, but your boys failed in like the most sad way you can think of in a Game 5 big throw after having like a 10k lead. It was hard to watch. Couple of things. I'm noticing a trend with all of these regions that if the region has in the regular season before the playoff a best of 3 format instead of a best of 1 format, then they tend to be more flexible with their pick and bans in the best of 5, and that trend continues. So like I'm not going to talk about the flexibility between the teams because these teams tend to have more flexibility than all of the other ones, not including the Korean teams who have shown to have the most so far. But I'm going to talk about primarily the weird draft decisions that were made, because I have very little complaints in terms of the vision. Rare Adam had better vision denial overall across all 5 games. But both of them are very strong in terms of their vision control. They know exactly what to do. Rare Adam had like these weird moments where they would like scatter their vision in useless ways, but that was like not as frequent as they could have been. So, you know, I'll let it slide for now, but it might become an issue further in. But in terms of like the pick and ban, I think that like both sides decide to approach pick and ban with trying to like surprise more than they are trying to be cohesive. And like for the most part, some of these times it works, and some other times it doesn't work. One of those times being like, let's see here. There was a time where, there was like one time that really like sticks out in my head here. Oh yeah, here it is. Rare Adam did something very strange. That like they looked like they were trying to predict what Invictus Gaming was going to do. They banned things like a Quinn ahead of time during the round 2 and a Zoe, despite the fact that that necessarily wouldn't have been great. Trying to like to predict something that they were gonna do, and it ends up biting them in the butt because like they end up picking Gnar and Victor with things that were defensive. They were like, let's take an offensive option in a very defensive team. Long term, it kind of doesn't work out. Invictus Gaming weirdly picking Renekton Varus as like Udyr Renekton, which is whatever, but then picking Varus in like a weird trifecta where it doesn't have a strong identity in their game 3. They're like, and then having Braum Syndra, so you don't necessarily know in which direction they're gonna go. There are like these options here that feel very bizarre. Where like I think my favorite pick ban from any of these teams was quite honestly game 2's. It felt like they had the most cohesive identity that they were working with. Where like IG was very smart in denying the Nidalee after the Renekton was picked, or the fact that like because they had a Nidalee Tom Kench already picked, despite the fact that it's a weird combo to pick in round 1, they went and pivoted to Varus and Azir just to make sure that they had like some options to work with. Uh, Rare Adam doing some nice stuff, making sure that because they had a Renekton and they were forced to pick up Udyr, they pick Alistar, and they end up having a very strong front line, and round it out with an Aphelios Oriana where they can actually scale and like supplement it all. Um, I enjoyed their pick and ban for the round two, for like the game two. So there's like a lot of stuff to like enjoy. I like the thought process. I don't think that they have quite figured out the ways to. I don't know how else to say, like, complement their thought process. It feels very much like we get an immediate idea and then we forget the consequences that come from it, and then we kind of have to like panic grab things that work out that are left over, um, which might hurt them down the line. Like, this is round one, and China has this weird thing right now where they always need to have the most amount of teams for their playoffs, the most amount of teams for the regular season, the most amount of playoff series in general. They didn't have it for Worlds, weirdly enough, despite having more teams to like filter through, but they now do. So like they have 10 teams, and this is team. If I, God, sorry, they have with Rare Atom, they were the 8th seed, and Invictus Gaming being the 9th seed. So like they're very low on the priority list, and if this is how low it goes, and they're just like maybe only slightly worse than some of the European and North American teams that are high on the priority, I can just imagine like when we get further up in like the round 3, round 4 playoff series, when we get to like seeds 6 through 1, um, that'll be really fun to watch and see how their thought process goes. Because if this is how seed 8 and seed 9 think through their pick and ban, then like that's going to be great. I've already talked about the vision. That's pretty solid. Not any complaints here. I do have complaints, however, about um, the reliance on mistakes to close out games. Not great. It tells me that sometimes there's going to be um, they're going to wait too long to like apply different pressures that they have with the lead. Like I mentioned at the start, Invictus Gaming had a 10k gold lead and they were playing real safe. And the same thing with their game 4. They were playing really safe with another 10k gold lead. And they still won game 4, but like it surprises me how safe they were, like approaching the end of the games. Uh, and it made it so that you can tell they had nervous energies, that they kept making mistakes. The casters kept talking about how Shun, I won't be able to pronounce all these names, these in-game names right, if I haven't heard them before. But we'll probably hear more about Shun. Hopefully, he qualifies again with Invictus Gaming in the summer, because honestly, there were a lot of good things to see from it. But he was definitely the weak link amongst Invictus Gaming. Every time I break down on a timestamp, he was the one who get caught most often. I see his name the most. Yeah, Shun gets caught. Literally, is the first one that I write here. But then other times where I write here that he's on a roll, or then like he sacrifices somebody, and it is really unfortunate for a team with very strong laners. Like, you can clearly tell that Invictus Gaming have like much stronger laners than Rare Atom. Um, it just unfortunately comes down to the fact that Leon was a stronger jungler long term in this series. It comes down to that they were more likely to finish off consistently, make less mistakes when they were in the lead than Invictus Gaming. That Rare Atom was more likely to close out the game off of like even when there was mistakes. So it's really unfortunate because Invictus Gaming has a history that they're actual champions from 2018. I know it's been 3 years, but they're still actual world champions, and most of the roster, or like 2/5 of the roster that was world champions on this team, were still there. 2/5, 2/5 of the main lineup. Because the Shy and Aruki are still in this team, and they still show that they have the same proficiencies they used to, but like it doesn't seem as cohesive, not as like cohesively aggressive. Um, Neutral objectives are weird for IG. They seem to be very sloppy with it compared to Rare Adam, who was much more consistent and much more measured, and I appreciate that. Rare Adam showing a better sense of like where to approach everything makes me very happy in terms of when they move up. I do, however, need to make a point that both sides are pretty sloppy on some occasions, and Invictus Gaming's eliminated. So China has this weird system also with their playoff series where like the first couple of rounds is not, oh, loser goes into a loser's bracket because they realize that they would probably take forever. This because it did back in 2014, 15, 2014, 2015, they had like something like 8 teams with the losers bracket also, and that took a long time to get through their playoffs. Um, they Yeah, so that means that Invictus Gaming are out. They have no chances of coming back. They won't be able to qualify, so we'll have to hope that they make it into the playoffs in summer and that they're better. But I would hope to see that they improve more on things like, let's say, just like being more measured with their early game and their mid game, but also being more consistent about closing out games. I don't want to see teams that are dependent on Baron. I didn't like that with lower seeded regions. I'm not going to like it with higher seeded regions. If you have the ability to close out a game without Baron with a big lead, do it. Super simple. I'm not asking the world here. I mean, they're not going to listen to me. They're not. I'm a random person, but like that's what I would like to see. I would like to see these teams close out more. Now, Rare Adam, same thing. Don't be so dependent on mistakes from your enemy team. You're going to be facing off. So you face off. That was the 8th and 9th seed, which means that you close out against the 10th and 7th seed. Plays a 6th. You play up against the 5th seed, which is a huge jump. And the 5th seed is going to be like significantly. I'm hoping, hoping, in the 5th seed, if I remember correctly, is Fun Plus Phoenix, who literally 2 years ago was on a World Championship, and if I remember correctly, Fun Plus has Damwon Gaming's World Champion last year. Nuguri. So probably need to clean up on some of your sloppiness in the early game because you have a lot of that. Your laners are not the strongest, and you need to be able to clean out without a Baron because otherwise you're going to get steamrolled. Do I expect Rare Adam to move on through after that? No, but if they do, it'll be again on a 3-5 series like this one. I would give them a B, maybe B plus, but B because they have solid vision. They do really well in terms of the pick ban. It's just kind of weird, and I think they should clean up and more figuring out if ever they're going to throw like curveballs or if they're going to even try to catch curveballs and predict it, that they have like better senses of what is cohesive with their composition so that they're not like picking themselves into a ditch that's much harder to climb out of. And don't rely on mistakes from your enemy team because the higher seeded you get, the harder it's gonna be to find mistakes out of them. Overall, I like this series. It wasn't the most exciting, but it was entertaining. It was enjoyable. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one where I get to see the first playoff series from the Pacific region, from the PCS or Southeast Asia, whichever way you want to put it. Have a good one.